The galactic predators were known throughout the universe as the fiercest, most dangerous creatures to ever roam the stars. Their reputation had been built on centuries of hunting and conquering other species. They were a group of beings who had never known fear, their power unmatched by any other species. Planets trembled when the predators arrived. Entire civilizations were wiped out in the blink of an eye. But no one ever questioned their dominance because no one had ever been strong enough to do so. The predators were a proud species, and they held themselves above all others. Their strength, speed, and intelligence made them nearly invincible. They hunted across the galaxy, making their territories in the most dangerous corners of space, where only the bravest dared to enter. They lived for the thrill of the hunt and the pleasure of victory. To them, fear was a weapon they used against their prey. Fear was the one thing they never felt themselves. But something had begun to change. As the galactic predators continued to hunt and conquer, they heard whispers of a new species, one they had never encountered before. These humans, they were called, and unlike any species the predators had ever met, they were showing signs of resistance. At first, the predators laughed it off. After all, what could humans possibly do to stand against them? Humans were just another species in a galaxy filled with weaklings. Still, their curiosity got the better of them. They decided to investigate Earth, the planet where these humans were said to reside. When they arrived, they found a world that was unlike anything they had imagined. It wasn't a planet of warriors or ancient civilizations with powerful armies. No, Earth was a simple world, filled with people who lived in cities and towns, using their intellect to solve problems. But the humans weren't running from the predators. They weren't hiding. Instead, they stood their ground. The predators' first encounter with the humans was strange. They had expected to see fear in the eyes of the people they met, but all they saw was curiosity. There were no panicked cries for help, no desperate attempts to flee. The humans didn't seem to understand the predators' usual tactics. The predators attacked in force, expecting to overwhelm the humans quickly, but they found that they couldn't. The humans fought back in ways the predators didn't understand, using simple tools, clever traps, and tactics that were as unpredictable as they were effective. For the first time in their existence, the galactic predators felt something they had never experienced before: confusion. They were used to being feared, to being the ones in control. But here, on Earth, it was as though they were the ones being hunted. And that thought, more than anything, unsettled them. The predators didn't know it yet, but this encounter would change everything. Humans weren't just another prey species. They weren't going to bow down and submit like the others. They were different, and that difference would soon be something the galactic predators would fear. The galactic predators were not accustomed to feeling uneasy. For centuries, they had been the ones to strike fear into the hearts of every species they encountered. They had conquered countless planets, hunted every creature in their path, and left a trail of devastation behind them. But Earth was different. The humans were different. The first battle took place in a sprawling city, where the predators descended from the sky in their massive ships. They landed with the intention to overwhelm and destroy everything in their path. Their weapons, capable of obliterating entire armies in seconds, were ready to unleash chaos. The humans, however, did not scatter in fear. They did not run or hide. Instead, they stood firm, facing the predators with an unusual calm. The predators' leader, a towering figure with razor-sharp claws and glowing eyes, scanned the streets. His eyes narrowed in confusion. These humans were not like the others he had hunted. They were not cowering in terror. In fact, some of them seemed confident. One of the humans, a soldier in worn armor, raised a strange weapon that hummed with power. The predator's leader watched as the soldier aimed it and fired. The weapon's blast wasn't powerful enough to destroy a predator, but it was enough to make the leader pause. It wasn't the weapon itself that had surprised him. It was the fact that the human had thought to use it. The predators were used to overwhelming their prey with sheer strength. They had never encountered a species that would think to fight back so quickly, so fiercely. The battle raged on, with humans using every available tool to resist the invaders. They weren't just relying on brute force. They were using their environment, setting traps, and working together. A small group of humans lured one of the predators into an alley where they had set a trap to disable its armor. It was a simple trick, but it worked. The predator, caught off guard, struggled to free itself as humans closed in, using their strength and strategy to hold it down. The galactic predators had expected the humans to break, to flee, but they didn't. The more the predators attacked, the more the humans fought back. The humans were everywhere, hiding, ambushing, fighting with a tenacity the predators hadn't prepared for. It was as if they were not just defending their world, but fighting for something deeper, something the predators couldn't understand. The predators were accustomed to seeing fear in the eyes of their prey. But this time, they saw something different. They saw defiance. They saw humans fighting not because they had no choice, but because they refused to give in. The predator's leader, usually so certain of victory, began to feel an unfamiliar twinge of uncertainty. What was this? These humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to be easy targets. But now, for the first time, they were fighting back with a strength the predators had never seen. The battle ended in a draw that day, but something had changed. The galactic predators had underestimated the humans, and now they realized that this species was unlike any other they had encountered. They were no longer just prey. They were a force to be reckoned with. And that realization sent a chill through the predators' ranks. For the first time in their long history, they found themselves up against an enemy that refused to be intimidated. The humans had shown them that they were not so easily defeated. The galactic predators had never faced a challenge like this before. After their first encounter with the humans, they realized that this species was not going to back down. They were not like the countless civilizations the predators had crushed in the past. Humans were different. They fought with a kind of stubbornness and creativity that baffled the predators. The humans, on the other hand, were more determined than ever. What had started as a few scattered groups of soldiers and civilians resisting the invaders was quickly turning into an organized force. The predators' first assault on Earth had been met with resistance, but now the humans were adapting and learning. Every defeat taught them something new. Every victory built their confidence. They were no longer just trying to survive. They were planning to win. In cities all over Earth, small pockets of humans came together to form a resistance. They pooled their resources, shared their knowledge, and worked together to fight the predators. Some of them were military veterans, others were scientists, engineers, and even ordinary civilians. It didn't matter who they were. What mattered was that they had one common goal: to drive the predators off their world. One group, led by a sharp-witted strategist named Alex, began developing new technology specifically designed to fight the predators. They used their knowledge of the alien ship's weaknesses and reverse-engineered some of the predator weapons they had captured during the first battle. It wasn't easy, and the humans didn't have the advanced technology the predators possessed. But they were clever. They found ways to adapt. Alex and his team worked around the clock, building traps and designing weapons that could target the predators' vulnerabilities. They created electromagnetic devices to disrupt the predator ships and devised ways to fight hand-to-hand with the predators' overwhelming strength. The humans had no intention of being overpowered. They were learning how to use the predators' own strengths against them. But it wasn't just technology that gave humans an advantage. It was their resourcefulness. Where the predators saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities. They turned cities into battlegrounds, using their knowledge of urban environments to create ambushes and traps. The predators, with all their strength and advanced weapons, found themselves outsmarted time and again. As the battles raged on, the humans grew bolder. They launched guerrilla attacks on predator supply lines and sabotaged their equipment. They stole technology from the predators and turned it against them. Each victory, no matter how small, made the humans more confident. They began to believe that they could actually win. The predators, meanwhile, were growing frustrated. The humans refused to be intimidated. They refused to run. And that was something the predators had never encountered before. They were used to beings that cowered before them. But the humans were different. They were fighting back in ways the predators hadn't anticipated. The longer the war dragged on, the more the predators realized that they were facing a true challenge, one that could possibly change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The humans were not just defending their planet. They were sending a message. They would not be conquered. They would not be enslaved. The galactic predators might have been the hunters, but now they were the ones being hunted. And for the first time, the predators began to understand that perhaps, just perhaps, they had underestimated humanity. The war had gone on for weeks, and the galactic predators had begun to feel something they were not familiar with: frustration. Their once unchallenged power seemed to be slipping away, bit by bit. Earth, a small planet in a distant corner of the galaxy, was turning into their worst nightmare. The humans, against all odds, were not just surviving. They were fighting back. The predators knew they had to end this soon, before their confidence turned into a full-blown defeat. They had brought their full force to Earth, intending to crush the human resistance once and for all. It was supposed to be an easy victory, but nothing about this world seemed easy. The predators launched their most intense attack yet, sending massive ships to bombard the cities and laying waste to everything in their path. Buildings crumbled under the sheer force of the predators' weapons. Yet even with all their power, the humans continued to resist. They had already shown the predators that they were not just mindless animals to be slaughtered. The humans were learning. And with every new weapon they developed, they grew stronger. In the heart of the battlefield, Alex, the human strategist, stood among his team, observing the chaos. The humans had set up defenses along the city's outskirts, with powerful energy shields and traps designed to counter the predators' usual tactics. The predators were relentless, sending wave after wave of soldiers to fight their way through the human barricades. Despite the devastation all around them, Alex felt a strange sense of hope. The humans had held their ground longer than anyone could have expected. And now, they were finally ready for the next phase of their plan, the direct confrontation. Alex knew that facing the predators head-on was risky, but it was the only way to truly push them back. A small group of elite soldiers and engineers had developed a new weapon, a powerful electromagnetic pulse device capable of disabling the predators' ships and weapons. But it was a dangerous mission. The EMP could only be activated close to the enemy's command center, deep within predator-held territory. With no time to waste, Alex led the charge, a team of the bravest humans at his side. As they moved closer to the predators' main base, they encountered heavy resistance. The predators' warriors, fierce and strong, fought back with brutal force. Each predator seemed like an unstoppable juggernaut, but the humans were quick, using their new weapons to keep the predators at bay. In one intense clash, a human soldier named Jack managed to disable a predator's weapon with a well-placed shot from a modified plasma gun. The predator, momentarily stunned, lashed out with its claws, but Jack dodged just in time, narrowly avoiding death. The human soldiers fought with everything they had, their strength not in their weapons, but in their will to survive. Finally, they reached their target, the Predator Command Center. The EMP device was deployed, and the humans watched in tense silence as it powered up. For a brief moment, the battlefield fell silent, and then the EMP pulse was unleashed. The Predator's ships and weapons faltered. Their once mighty machines dropped from the sky like falling stars, disabled and powerless. But the victory was not without cost. As the humans prepared to launch a counteroffensive, the Predators retaliated with their last, most deadly attack, a massive strike meant to destroy everything in its path. The humans, though, were ready. They had already proven that they would not be so easily defeated. They fought back with everything they had, each human knowing that this battle would decide the fate of Earth, and perhaps the future of the galaxy. As the dust settled, it was clear the predators had met their match. The humans had shown them that strength alone could not guarantee victory. It was the human spirit, unbreakable, resilient, that would be the key to their survival. The galactic predators had never encountered anything like this before. They were masters of war, conquerors of countless worlds, and the universe had always bent to their will. But Earth had proven to be different. The humans had shown a resilience that the predators had underestimated. Now, after their devastating defeat at the hands of these determined creatures, the predators were forced to reconsider everything they knew about warfare. The predators were no strangers to adapting. They had survived and thrived for centuries by constantly evolving their tactics. But humans were something new. Their ingenuity, their ability to turn every setback into a strength, was beyond anything the predators had expected. In the aftermath of their failure, the predators' leaders gathered in their war rooms, a place where they rarely experienced uncertainty. The leader, a battle-hardened predator known as Chirac, paced in frustration. His soldiers, once so confident, now returned with scars and stories of failure. Humans were resourceful, and the more the predators learned about them, the more they realized they were facing a species unlike any other. "We must understand them," Chirac said, his voice low and full of resolve. "We must learn to fight like them, use their strengths against them." The predators turned to their most skilled warriors, those who had survived the recent skirmishes, to begin studying the humans. They studied human strategies, their ability to adapt quickly in combat, and how they used their limited resources to outsmart the predators. This was not a fight of raw power alone. It was a battle of minds. Meanwhile, the humans weren't resting on their recent victories. They knew the predators would not simply give up. Their recent triumph had been important, but it had only delayed the inevitable. The humans needed to keep pushing forward, to stay one step ahead of their relentless enemies. Every day, new tactics and ideas were born from the minds of humans, engineers, soldiers, and scientists alike. They knew that if they stopped evolving, they would become the prey once again. In secret labs, human engineers worked day and night, tweaking and perfecting the weapons that had given them an edge over the predators. They crafted new weapons, blending human technology with the alien tech they had captured. The more the humans learned about the predators, the more they adapted. They even created camouflage systems that could make their soldiers blend into their surroundings, making it harder for the predators to track them. At the same time, human military leaders adjusted their battle strategies. The predators were bigger, stronger, and faster, but humans could use their intelligence and speed to outmaneuver them. One strategy involved luring the predators into traps, ambushes set by highly trained soldiers who knew how to use their environment to their advantage. The predators might have brute strength, but the humans knew how to turn the battlefield into a weapon in itself. Chirac and his warriors watched in awe as the humans proved time and again that they could take on the predators' might. But the predators refused to back down. They, too, began to develop new methods, blending their natural strengths with the knowledge they had gained from their encounters with humans. The war between the two species had become a battle of adaptations, each side trying to outthink and outfight the other. For the first time in their history, the predators were beginning to realize that strength alone might not be enough. The humans had shown them that a battle could be won through wit and strategy just as easily as through force. And though they were not yet defeated, the predators knew this war was no longer a simple hunt. It was a test of who could outblast and outsmart the other. And humanity had just proven that they could go toe-to-toe with the greatest hunters in the galaxy. The war between the galactic predators and humanity had entered a new phase. What started as a simple conflict of strength had transformed into a battle of wits. The predators, who were once the unquestioned rulers of the galaxy, were beginning to understand that brute force alone would not win this fight. The humans, though smaller and less powerful, had shown a resilience and cleverness that the predators could not have anticipated. After their recent defeats, the predators were forced to rethink their approach. They had already learned to adapt in battle, but it wasn't enough. The humans were proving to be more than just survivors. They were becoming a force of their own, one that could no longer be ignored. Grek, the leader of the predators, called together his best warriors and strategists. They gathered in a dark, cold war room aboard their flagship, the command center where the predators usually felt invincible. But now, the weight of their failures pressed heavily on their shoulders. "We cannot continue like this," Jirak said, his voice filled with a rare sense of urgency. "The humans have turned the tide. We must change our tactics again." He turned to one of his top tacticians, a battle-hardened predator named Krath. "What have you learned about them? How do we defeat them?" Krath, though silent for a moment, spoke up. "They don't fight like other species. They think, adapt, and use everything at their disposal. But we have something they don't: the advantage of numbers and power. We must push forward, overwhelm them, and break their spirit." Rake nodded, but deep inside, he knew that strength alone wasn't enough. The predators had tried that before and failed. The humans had proven that they were capable of taking on much larger forces and winning. He had to find a way to make the humans fear them again. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity had no plans of stopping. After their successful defense and the disabling of the Predator fleet, the humans began to regroup. Their victories had sparked a new sense of unity. The Resistance, once a scattered and disorganized group, had now become a highly coordinated military force. The humans were ready for the next battle. Alex, the human strategist, sat in a war room, his eyes scanning the map of the Predators' movements. He knew the Predators would retaliate. They would come back with even more force, but the humans had already proven they could stand their ground. Their new weapons were more advanced, and their knowledge of Predator tactics had grown. But Alex knew that the real key to winning this war was staying one step ahead. "We have to keep them on the back foot," Alex said, addressing his team. "We can't let them recover. We need to keep striking, keep surprising them. If we give them time to regroup, they'll adapt, and we can't afford to give them that chance." The humans were building a new kind of weapon, something that could potentially turn the tide in their favor. It was a risky plan, but it was their only option. Alex had a feeling that this would be their best chance to defeat the Predators once and for all. As the humans prepared for their next strike, the Predators were also readying themselves for the final push. Both sides knew that the next battle would be the most critical one yet. It would determine who would rule the galaxy, who would live, and who would fall. The war had reached a turning point, and there would be no turning back. The battle on Earth had been fierce, but it was only the beginning. The Galactic Predators, after their defeat at the hands of the humans, retreated into the depths of space, regrouping and plotting their next move. However, they had underestimated one crucial detail: humans were relentless. The Predators had never before faced a species that refused to let them go, that chased them across the stars with the same determination they had shown on Earth. The human forces, emboldened by their victories, had gathered their strongest fleet of ships and weapons, prepared to take the fight to the Predators. With the knowledge and technology they had stolen from the Predators' ships, the humans were now ready to track them down, wherever they went. They would not stop until the Predators had been defeated for good. Alex, the human strategist, stood at the command center of the lead human ship, the Resolute. He gazed at the holographic map of the galaxy, tracking the movements of the retreating Predator fleet. The humans had learned a lot since the first encounter, and now they were using that knowledge to their advantage. "We have them," Alex said, pointing to a small red dot on the map. "They're heading toward the Zorith Nebula. It's a remote area, but it's not impossible to reach." "Are we sure they'll be there?" asked Maria, one of Alex's trusted commanders. "We don't have a choice," Alex replied, his voice firm. "They're trying to disappear into deep space. If we don't follow them now, we'll lose them again." The decision was made. The human fleet, led by the Resolute, set off at full speed toward the Zorith Nebula. The journey would be long, but they had no intention of stopping. The humans were determined to finish what they had started on Earth. Meanwhile, the predators had also recognized that the humans would not stop. Jurak, the predator leader, had been forced to call for reinforcements, but even with their vast numbers, the predators knew they couldn't run forever. They had been pushed to the edge, and now the humans were hunting them across the stars. Jurak understood one thing very clearly. If the humans reached them before they could regroup, their entire species could be at risk. "We must hold them off until reinforcements arrive," Jurak ordered his fleet. "We can't afford to let them gain any more ground." The chase was on. The human fleet closed in on the Zorith Nebula, a dangerous region of space filled with swirling gases, asteroids, and unstable gravitational fields. It was the perfect hiding place for the predators, if they could make it there without being caught. But the humans were determined. They navigated the hazardous region with precision, using their advanced technology to keep the fleet intact. On the Resolute, Alex's eyes never left the screens. The tension was high as they neared the nebula. They were close now, closer than they had ever been to ending this war once and for all. They couldn't afford to make a mistake. One wrong move, and they could lose everything. "We're almost there," Alex muttered under his breath. Then, without warning, the predators struck. They had set a trap, using the nebula's dangerous environment to their advantage. Asteroids were launched toward the human ships, and debris filled the space around them. It was a chaotic, violent scene as the two fleets collided in the darkness of space. The humans fought back with everything they had, using their speed and intelligence to dodge the asteroids and retaliate against the predator ships. But the predators were relentless. It was a battle of attrition now, with both sides determined to push the other to their breaking point. In the midst of the chaos, Alex knew they couldn't keep up this fight forever. The predators had the advantage in numbers, and the humans were starting to lose ground. But then, a breakthrough came. Using their superior technology and knowledge of the predator fleet, the humans managed to disable one of the predator ships. It was a small victory, but it was enough to shift the balance. The human fleet pressed on, knowing that they couldn't stop now. The chase was far from over, but the humans were closer than ever to their goal. The fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. Would they defeat the predators once and for all? Or would they be outmatched by the greatest hunters the universe had ever known? As the battle continued, one thing was certain. This was no longer just a war for survival. It was a war for the future, and the humans were determined to win. The final battle was fast approaching. The galactic predators, desperate to regain control and destroy humanity, had retreated to a desolate moon on the edge of the galaxy. They had no choice now but to make their last stand. Their numbers were thinning and reinforcements were slow to arrive. The humans, on the other hand, were relentless. They had chased the predators across the stars, and now, after weeks of pursuit, they were closing in. On board the Resolute, Alex stood with his crew, watching the holographic display of the predator's position. The tension in the command room was palpable. The humans had fought their way through space, using every tactic they had learned from their previous battles with the predators. But this would be different. This was the moment they had been working toward. If they succeeded, it would mean the end of the war and the defeat of the predators. If they failed, the predators would be free to continue their reign of terror across the galaxy. "All ships are in position," Maria said, her voice steady but filled with a quiet urgency. "The predators are waiting for us. This will be the toughest battle yet." Alex nodded. "We know what's at stake, but we've learned from every battle, every mistake we've made. This time, we'll finish it." The human fleet, led by the Resolute, moved into position around the moon where the predators had established their final stronghold. The planet-sized moon, with its rugged surface and dangerous terrain, was an ideal location for a last-ditch defense. The predators had built their base deep within the moon's craters, surrounded by a labyrinth of tunnels and fortifications. They had prepared for a siege, but they had not prepared for humanity's determination. As the humans descended toward the moon's surface, the predators launched their counterattack. Massive warships rose from the moon's surface, and the skies were filled with deadly blasts of energy. The battle had begun. The humans had one advantage. They were fighting on their terms. Unlike the predators, who had relied on brute force and overwhelming strength, the humans were quick, using their knowledge of the predators' tactics to anticipate every move. They fought like a single unit, working together with precision and speed. Each human soldier knew their role and executed it flawlessly. On the ground, Alex and his team led the charge, infiltrating the predator stronghold. They had planned for this moment for weeks, studying the moon's terrain and mapping out the predator defenses. They moved swiftly, avoiding traps and using their advanced technology to disable predator weaponry. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the enemy's base. As they advanced, they encountered fierce resistance. The predators, determined to hold their ground, fought with everything they had. Their warriors, towering and fierce, rushed to meet the humans head-on. The battle was brutal, but the humans refused to give up. They had been through too much to turn back now. The final confrontation came in the heart of the predator base. Alex and his team faced off against Jurak, the predator leader. Jurak, once confident in his victory, now saw that his species was on the brink of extinction. The humans had pushed him to this point, and despite all his strength, he knew that this battle would decide everything. "You are persistent, human," Jurak growled, his eyes glowing with fury. "But you cannot defeat me." Alex stood tall, his voice unwavering. "You've underestimated us from the beginning. This is our fight now, and we will win." The two charged at each other, their weapons clashing in a shower of sparks. It was a battle of wills as much as strength, with both sides knowing that only one would leave alive. In the end, it was the human spirit that triumphed. Jurak, overconfident in his strength, fell before the combined effort of Alex and his team. The predator leader was defeated. With their leader fallen, the remaining predators realized they were no longer invincible. The humans had proven that they could outthink and outfight them. The last of the predators, seeing their defeat, began to retreat. But it was too late. The humans had won. The battle for the galaxy was over. As Alex stood over the fallen predator leader, he allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. This was not just a victory for Earth, but for every species that had suffered under the predator's rule. Humanity had shown the galaxy that even the most fearsome predators could be beaten, and it was the human will, the human drive to survive and fight, that had made the difference. The war was over. The humans had won, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The dust had barely settled on the moon's surface, but the battle for the galaxy was already being called a turning point in history. The last of the galactic predators had been defeated. Their leader, Jurak, was gone, and the remnants of their fleet had scattered into the farthest corners of space. The humans had done what no one believed possible. They had toppled the greatest predators the galaxy had ever known. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. The human fleet returned home as heroes, hailed for their bravery and ingenuity. People from all corners of the globe cheered as they watched the victory unfold on screens. The world that had once feared the predator's arrival was now a symbol of hope, a beacon of strength for other species who had suffered under the predator's reign. Alex, the strategist who had led humanity through this impossible war, stood before a crowd of reporters. He had become a symbol of human resilience, but today his thoughts were elsewhere. The war was over, but the work was far from finished. Earth had won, yes, but the galaxy was now left to rebuild, and the humans would be at the center of it all. "We didn't just defeat the predators." Alex said into the microphone, his voice steady but carrying the weight of what had come before. "We showed the galaxy that we will never back down, that no matter how strong the enemy, we can overcome. This victory is not just for us, but for everyone who believes in freedom and unity." Across the galaxy, Other species watched in awe. The news of the humans' victory spread faster than light, reaching planets and civilizations who had long suffered under the oppressive rule of the galactic predators. The once feared invaders were now nothing more than a footnote in the galaxy's history. The humans had done what no one else could, defeated the predators with nothing but sheer willpower, intelligence, and unity. But with victory came responsibility. Humanity could no longer remain isolated on Earth. The galaxy, which had once feared their potential, now saw them as a powerful force to be reckoned with. The humans had proven themselves, and the galaxy would look to them for leadership. Alex knew that this was just the beginning. The defeat of the predators had left a power vacuum, and it would take more than just military strength to fill it. It would take diplomacy, cooperation, and a new understanding between species. Humanity would have to navigate a galaxy that was both grateful for their victory and cautious of their rise to power. The United Earth government, with Alex at its head, began working to establish peaceful relations with other civilizations. They offered aid to planets struggling to rebuild after the devastation of the predator invasions. They worked to create a new order, one built on respect, cooperation, and the shared knowledge that no species, no matter how strong, should ever be allowed to dominate another. As humanity took its first steps into this new era, Alex stood at the helm, not as a conqueror, but as a leader. He understood the weight of what had been achieved, and he knew that the true challenge had only just begun. The galaxy was vast, and humanity had earned its place in it. But with that place came a duty to protect the weak, to uphold peace, and to ensure that no species, no matter how powerful, could ever threaten the galaxy again. The war was over, but the human journey had only just begun. And for the first time, the galaxy was looking to Earth, not with fear, but with hope. The defeat of the galactic predators marked the beginning of a new era. The once feared invaders had been vanquished, their terror wiped away by the sheer determination of humanity. But as the galaxy began to recover from the long, dark years of predator rule, it became clear that the humans were now the ones who would shape the future. On Earth, the human leaders gathered, preparing to make decisions that would impact the entire galaxy. Alex, who had led humanity through the darkest hours, stood at the forefront. As the strategist who had guided them to victory, he now found himself in a new role, a leader in a galaxy that had just learned to respect, and even fear, humanity's strength. But Alex wasn't interested in power or glory. He was focused on something far more important: peace. The defeat of the predators had been a victory, but it was only the first step. Now came the hard part, ensuring that no other species would ever rise to fill the power vacuum left by the predators. The humans had proven that they could fight, that they could defend themselves. But Alex understood that their true strength lay in their ability to unite, to work together as one. It was their creativity, their adaptability, and their compassion that had allowed them to stand against the greatest force the galaxy had ever known. Alex and his team began reaching out to other species, offering alliances and support. The message was clear. Humanity was not just a military power, it was a force for good. The humans had shown that they could defeat the predators, but they could also build, rebuild, and create a galaxy where all species had a chance to thrive. Humanity's first steps into this new era were cautious but determined. They started by helping those who had suffered under the predators' rule. Planets once crushed by the predators' war machines were now receiving aid from Earth in the form of technology, resources, and expertise. The humans had the knowledge and the heart to help others, to build a galaxy that wasn't ruled by fear, but by cooperation and mutual respect. As the years passed, humanity's influence grew. They became known not just for their victory over the predators, but for their leadership in the creation of a new galactic council, a council that brought together all species, united in the goal of ensuring peace and justice for all. No longer would the strong dominate the weak. No longer would fear rule the stars. Alex's legacy lived on, not just as a military leader, but as a symbol of what humanity had achieved. He had shown the galaxy that humans were more than just fighters. They were creators, diplomats, and protectors. They had the strength to stand up against the greatest threats, but they also had the wisdom to build a better future. As humanity stood at the edge of this new chapter, they knew that they could never forget the lessons they had learned. The predators had shown them the cost of power unchecked, and the humans had shown the galaxy the true power of unity. They had proven that no matter how strong the enemy, no matter how impossible the challenge, humanity would always rise. The galaxy was a different place now. It was a place where humanity had made its mark, not through destruction, but through resilience, compassion, and the unshakable belief that the future could always be better. And as long as humans remained united, they knew that no force in the galaxy could ever defeat them again. Their legacy had only just begun.